What's up, Authentic fam? It's your boy Brandon back again with Authentic Podcast for another great episode. Maybe New Zealand podcast, we don't know, but we'll see in the future. Before we get started, guys, a couple announcements to make. First of all, if you haven't already, we're on all platforms. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and we're also on YouTube, guys. So no excuses for you guys to tune in. Go ahead and tune in wherever you are. If you want to stay up to date to our content, we drop content every week. If you haven't already, go ahead, follow us on our social medias. We are on Instagram, YouTube. We're also on Twitter, and yeah, we're on Facebook. So go ahead, follow us so you don't miss out on any content or episodes that come get dropped on the weekly. So before we get started, guys, wherever you are in the world, if you're running, if you're walking the dog, if you're working out, listening to this potty, go ahead and tune in. Really tune in. Get a notepad, get a pen ready. Whatever it may be, you're in for a good one. Everything we talk about here really is advice or gems that we share from our guests, that they have their life experience and they're able to help our own community out in the future. That way will be able to help us and yourself achieve your dreams in your future, whatever it is you're going through. So sit back, tune in, have a good drink and listen to this party. It's a good one. Without further ado, let's get our red carpet warm welcome ready to number one guest here, or number 9 that I've played with, old collegiate of my old buddy, old friend, Matt Olo-Whaanga. What's up, brother? How's it going?
Bro. Very good. Privileged to be here. Thanks for having me.
Very great to have you here, bro. We'll just go ahead and get started, bro. We'll get started right off. Yes, give us a quick introduction, bro. Give us your name, where you're from, your favorite food, and as well, what have you been up to lately?
My name's Matthieu Olo-Whaanga. I'm from Māngere East, born and bred, South Auckland. I grew up in Māngere East, went to Epsom Normal Primary, went to intermediate, Auckland Normal Intermediate.
Yeah.
Interesting with the normals playing a part in that. And then ended up at King's College.
Yes,
and
sir.
Went to Auckland Uni, and that's my education pretty much.
Mean, bro, mean.
Yeah.
Mean, bro.
That's me.
That's all I like. Guys, Matt's been a bit modest here, actually. We got him in here, guys. He's doing great things in the community. He is a mortgage broker, lender, as well as a financial advisor. He just started off, and he's doing amazing things right now. And I guess on the side, he's a bit of a musical artist, a musical talent. So for those who don't know, if you know, you know. Yeah, bro, I guess we'll just get started off right there. Like, maybe for some of our viewers or listeners who are listening in, give them just an explanation of what exactly you do as a mortgage broker, lender, and financial advisor.
Yeah, so I mean, it probably goes without saying that, finance is a pretty hard game. So straight out of uni, I went into the BNZ grad program.
Yeah.
And there I was an intern for about maybe 3 months over the summer of 2017/2018. And I was in their business and commercial department, which is called Partners.
Yeah.
And in New Zealand, it's quite widely known as sort of the best business/commercial bank. And yeah, pretty much from there, I just got dropped in the deep end and spent the rest of my sort of three years fresh out of uni, pretty much just picking up everything possible in commercial finance and banking, I guess, with some pretty hectic experience from BNZ. I mean, my progression there was quite quick in a relatively short amount of time. Which was awesome.
Yeah.
But you kind of get to a point where because you're working for one bank in particular, when you're working with your clients, you're very segmented in what you can offer them. So if someone wanted a home loan, if it fits our criteria, then yeah, you can have it. But if it didn't, it was a no.
Yeah.
And because you're working for one person, one corporation, you don't have the options or the levers to pull to say, okay, well, you can do this. Like, there's no alternative
No
options.
other options, yeah.
And I got really sick of that quite quickly. And it got to a point where I was like, look, I don't think this is working for me. I actually used to work quite a lot with one particular broker who's now my employer, who pretty much used to send me deals all the time, would be on the phone for, sometimes like half an hour, 45 minutes, just like yarning.
Yeah.
Real good guys from Mangere Bridge as well, so he was local. We got along really well. And yeah, it got to a point where I was like, look, I'm keen to become a broker at some point. He's like, well, come chat when you're ready. And then the space of kind of like three or 4 months, it was all said and done, and I was off being a broker.
Bro, that's so mean, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so cool. Like, I guess, touching a little bit on that experience, like, I guess working in that big corporation type of thing. Like, I think most times, like, a lot of people, they think the only way to go, like, to get a home loan or specifically or other stuff, like, from the bank is to the bank.
Yeah.
Not really thinking about, like, mortgage broker, there's other people who are willing to give you those option A, B, C, you know?
Yeah. I think, and like predominantly that's been the way you do it.
Yeah.
Mortgage brokers haven't been around for that long. Stock brokers and other sorts of like insurance brokers have been around for much longer than mortgage brokers. But what we get to do, which the bank can't do, is give you unbiased advice. When you go to a bank and you go to a banker, they're going to give you this suite of services that they offer,
that they offer,
and
that's it. Yeah,
and that's it. They won't give you advice on the best way to do a property development. Not that we can either, but we're able to provide different services and assistance so that we can guide you down a more appropriate path as opposed to picking something off the shelf that doesn't work for everyone. And
100%, bro. Especially people like within our own community in South Auckland.
100%, bro. And when you start having those conversations quite regularly, you get the gist of the way people think about things, and then you kind of mold your understanding in how to more effectively tell or converse with people with a bit less information than you. They're not dumb.
Yeah.
They just don't have the information that you've got. And that's just how the market operates together. Some person has the information, some person doesn't. They meet in the middle, and that's how shit gets done.
100%, bro. Especially in a community that like is not really financially literate,
Yeah.
And it's hard for them to like just jump into it, be like, oh, I want to get a house.
Correct.
The first thing that comes to mind.
Correct.
You need a loan. Go to a bank, and then like then the bank gives you, I guess they see the criteria and they're like, oh, we can't actually give you a loan.
Yeah.
And then like for them, like they kind of want to like, I guess for some that I know, like personally, like they'd rather just rent majority of life or not really achieve that that American or New Zealand dream of owning their own house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's it's a challenge that a lot of communities have, and it's got nothing to do with the competency of people. It's just that if you don't grow up around money, you don't know how to manage it. And then when you do end up getting money and you've never been around money before, you don't know how to manage it. So you go and splash it. You go and do what you know best, and you go splash it.
Drop that money in that new car, bro,
Yeah. And that's the same thing with finance. Like if you've never had finance before, or you've never had an example of what good finance management looks like, or how to manage your debts appropriately, you're going to end up putting yourself in a position that's pretty sticky to get out of. Like a huge one for the South Auckland community is like personal finance. So your car loans, your unsecured debts, like your personal loans, your gem visas, your credit cards, stuff like that. You want the money now and you can go get it, but it's 29%. And if no one's told you what an interest rate is before, you're going, oh, there's the money. I don't care about the interest rate. I just know that I need the money right now, so I'm going to go do it. And unfortunately, that's a really true predicament for a lot of people. And it's not just South Auckland. Like there's
100.
There's those knowledge gaps everywhere in the country and in the world. But trying to get a gauge on someone's financial literacy, like when you first meet them, is definitely kind of the first key to being a good broker or a good advisor. Because if you can't meet them in the middle with their understanding, and you can't actually conversate in a way that they're going to understand, then to me, you're not fulfilling your duty.
I guess what would be like one of the most consistent issue that you've seen with people actually coming up and wanting to get a loan or finding this house?
There's heaps. There's heaps. I mean, there's a range of stuff depending on, and this is the beauty of like financial advice is every single person, every single entity, every single trust, it's completely different. Like no one person has the exact same issue,
Facts.
problem, but I think it's knowing where to start is the issue. And I think, and this isn't a biased approach, and this isn't like a plug, but particularly now in an economic environment like this, where it is relatively, well, it's really shaky. You need to start off with some really good advice, because if you don't know where you're heading, but if you don't know where to start, if you know where you're heading, but you don't know where to start, you're flogging a dead horse. You're just stabbing in the dark.
Bro. And
that literally gets you nowhere. And you'll end up in the cycle where you're going round and round in circles. And by the time you're, 10 years down the track, you're like, oh man, I wish I would have asked for some advice earlier.
Hard, bro. I feel like, and especially like, and not just, other communities as well, but, South Auckland in general, like, bro, I feel like, do you believe it's more of like an educational system, like within the home or within like the educational system, schools and stuff like that?
I think, it's definitely a bigger topic than just education. Like it's, in New Zealand, it's a systematic, what do you call it? It's a systematic, like, what's the word?
I'm trying to think too.
It's systematic, what's it called when it's like not on even playing fields?
Over here.
It's like systematic inequality.
Okay, there we go.
Right. It's not one point in our system that isn't, meant to fight against you. But in New Zealand, every step of the way, the system just isn't made for us,
It's just built different, bro.
I know. It's just something that you kind of, there's a point where you've got to draw a line in the sand. And it's like, okay, I can hustle as much as I want, but you can't get around the system, That's an excuse that a lot of people make, but in the reality that we live in, Aotearoa is, we were colonised.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people like say, we're moving on, there's co-governance and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, like we were colonised.
And I feel like, and to your point as well, bro, like I feel like that's true, because even though we're colonized in the system inequalities, bro, do you believe that like even though like there are those inequalities, we can still, if we do our best, the right information,
100%.
right people, right support, like we can still break through that
100%.
break through that barrier.
100%.
Because bro, like this, like I honestly believe like, and that's a true point that you make. I feel like sometimes we can, I guess, make ourselves illiterate by being ignorant, or even like what you said, like not asking for advice. So like it kind of like, it can sometimes go both ways. Like with not only education, with wherever you at, even though it's a bigger picture, like the home is an important place, obviously, to be around money and learn how to manage it, but also like, doing the best that you can to learn about it. Because I feel like, bro, like sometimes, and maybe it's for some people, some others as well here in our community, but some of them don't even like learn financial tips or advice, or get financial advice until like, bro, way later than they should have, like at a young age, and like thrown into the deep end, and like even though yourself earlier, but like for them, all they know is, some of them is just work hard, and that's it. Work hard, earn your money, and that's it. Save, and then spend on something that you like here and there, and then that's pretty much it for the next 20 years. So the time comes, buy a house. Well, as you can, let's look at your statements. Let's look at this. What's this? What's this payment? What's this loan? Here, we had a wedding. There's like so many other stuff that comes to mind.
100%.
Like, especially with our culture as well. It's a huge factor that I think, some of us need to, I guess, maybe, do the best that we can ourselves to find right sources like yourself, other people in our community to be better and live the lifestyle that they can. Because I feel like they can, but sometimes, like, yes, the systematic inequalities are there, but sometimes we can blame it too much to where we become, entitled to some things at some point.
Yeah, and I think, like, a big issue that I have is, why aren't we teaching money and financial literacy in school? Like, that's crazy to me.
No, that's so true.
One of the biggest things that you have to manage in your life isn't taught at school. You can learn physics, geometry,
chemistry, everything, bro.
Bro, what is that? Like, and I know that's like the common argument people make when they want to drop out of maths in like year 11. Like, I'm never going to use math.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you might not, but if you don't know how to use a calculator, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
But the same thing goes for money. Like, if it's not taught early in your life, you get to a point where it's too late to start learning. Well, I take that back. It's never too late to start learning, but you get to a point where the game's already ahead of you.
It's already ahead of you. Yeah.
You've got to go back in time and then try and catch up.
Yeah. Then you're thinking to yourself, man, if only I knew.
Yeah. And it's not anyone's fault.
Hard.
But again, it comes back to the system.
It's so true, bro. Yeah, you're right. Because like on that point, that's when I agree. Like, just that system is like of even learning, like what you said, something we have in our hands almost every day. We don't even learn like what can I do with it? Yeah. What an interest rate is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even small things like that. Like what kind of loan am I going for? Like just like simple basic stuff in the future that, because in life, like, bro, it feels like for a lot of us, we get thrown into that deep end when we go, oh man, I'm going to the bank, I'm getting my house, boom. Then they're like, well, you need this, and then they're like, well, definitely not going to buy a house. Then they just settle, and then they're in that mindset,
It's really demotivating, bro, and especially bro. when you do it for such a period of time, and it's just constant no's after no's after no's, and it's like, oh, wait a
Why
little
even
longer,
bother, bro?
Wait a little longer. It's like, bro, I've waited, it's my time. But yeah, I mean, and to go back on that last point, like, I hate the argument that it's the system, because it is a valid point, but it's also an excuse.
Hard.
There are so many other things that you can do on your own accord to get you to a level above the system.
100%, bro.
And like in the day and age that we live in, everything is at your fingertips. All you need is a couple ideas and a couple ways that you might execute something, and then you just got to do it.
That's all it is, bro.
That's literally all you got to do is do it.
Because I always think on that point, bro. I always think about like, and it is some of like, I guess the first, second generation who moved from the islands here, like, bro. And then if for my mind is like, bro, you guys actually moved a different country here, settled down, created a family, started work, everything you can to have your family survive. Yeah. But like like there's other things that come with it. Like if you can do that, bro, like surely you can get illiterate or do whatever you can to create something to get to where you want to get that house. Or get whatever you want in life. Yeah.
I mean, when I think about it, the fact that like me and my sister, like we're pretty stable. My parents, they were relatively stable. They worked their asses off to get us to where we are. And then I look at my parents, and they like literally worked 90-hour weeks just to put food on the table,
Facts.
And their parents, well, my mother's side, her mum came from Whaanga, which is like in the middle of nowhere in Savai'i,
bro.
So like I try and think about that quite a lot, and a young island girl had would go to Apia regularly on the ferry, but other than that, bro, it was Samoa, and then it was just to New Zealand,
bro.
And this is like a completely urbanized population. That's scary to me,
Different environment, bro. Coming in here, you know what I mean? It's just
completely different.
Whole different level, bro. That's so true. I feel like I just feel like you're right, bro. Sometimes we do give ourselves, or we like to give ourselves a lot of excuses, but I feel like we, at the backbone of our culture and who we are, bro. Like we're like, everything that we received and get, and nothing was. I don't think anything for the most part of our ancestors was given. It was all worked for. That's something that I think some of us kind of lost sight of. Is like you can do anything if you work hard and set goals and make plans and achieve it.
Yeah.
Like it's possible. You just gotta do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the hurdle that people struggle to get over, though. There's so much you get fed from everywhere that says you can't do it.
Hard. Yeah.
So it's almost like a test against yourself, but the test is coming from everywhere you look.
It's always a test.
Yeah, but it's always just like it's just one foot instead of in front of the other. And if you can do that for a long period of time and stay consistent, it'll come and the fruits will bear themselves.
Facts, bro. The fruits of your labors will always show, guys.
100%, bro.
That's the truth right there. That's the gem. What's the best financial advice you've received?
Wow. I've been spun a lot of advice in my time in working in financial markets, and one that probably stuck with me the most is just leverage. Like it's one of those things that puts you in a growth mindset, but also with risk. You need to have some balls to do certain things, and leverage, particularly in New Zealand, is one of those things. That's more kind of a, I don't know, investment advice thing that has probably stuck with me the most. But personally, in terms of like my own money management, is, and it might not be financial advice, but it's always be generous. Like that's just my goal.
That's so mean.
Yeah, I think if you're stingy with your money will be stingy to you. That's my motto, and I think it's like everything comes around, And if you can give what you can give, the world will always be good to you, Like regardless of what you believe in, that's just the way the world operates. If you're good
100.
into the world will be good into you.
Yeah, bro, that's mean. Worst financial advice you've ever received?
Oh. I don't think anyone gave me this advice. I think I gave it to myself. But the worst advice I think I've ever told myself is get a credit card. Bro, those things ruin you. It is human psychology. You have this money there, and you think it's yours, but it's not. It's the bank's. And you go and spend it, and then think about it later. And then, it just puts... I mean, it's not really a... Yeah, it's one of those things you have to manage really carefully. Putting yourself into predicaments. And this goes back to my... I mean, I spoke about it briefly before, but like personal debt.
100.
If you can't manage it, if you don't trust yourself, don't go near it.
Don't even touch it.
It'll, and like, luckily for me, I was able to manage it relatively quickly.
That's good.
And I guess I was in a position where I could do that relatively quickly, but you could see how it gets out of hand for a lot of people really quickly. And it's one of those things that like you don't come back from it quick if you don't have the means.
100. And just doesn't, and even then, like when it gets too far, it's just like,
yeah.
Well, I'm already in the deep end, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sort of rolls back to kind of the main piece of advice, which is live within your means. And
that's the thing they do in New Zealand, bro. Like, honestly, it's 100%. I see that it's real hard for people to live within their means here.
Yeah.
Even though like, and it is like, to be fair, it is quite, I guess, expensive here in New Zealand itself. But other than that, like, if you're working like 40 hours and you can manage it well, like, I'm pretty sure like you can live within your means on a minimum wage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think at the moment that's pretty tough. Like you still got to eat, but just some of the stuff you see, like you look around at the culture that's sort of been bought onto us by the states, like this whole hype culture and like, you know, going splashing out on like $2,000 shoes. Like, bro, you need to eat, you know?
That's your first thing you need to do.
How you gonna eat, bro?
You're not going to eat your shoes, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those aspects of life that it's pure psychology. Like, you want it, you want to get it. You see it, you want it. You see someone cool wearing it, you want to be cool. You go and get it. So it does play a little bit into like human psyche and, you know, the psychology of consumerism.
Bro, especially within our own communities and I guess culture, bro. It's like it's so easy for us, if not financially manageable. But bro, like I just, you know, just especially the next generation coming up, you know, if you're not taught, obviously, first paycheck, boom, getting me a North Face jacket.
Straight up. Or a G-Shock.
G-Shock, bro.
You got camo G-Shock.
Do you have a G-Shock?
Yeah.
Or some TNs, I don't know. Nah, bro, that's so true. I feel like, if anyone, that's good advice. Live within your means, and then also as well, watch out for credit cards. You know, 100%.
And be generous.
The
other good one that my dad always used to say, and I always found it real cracker because like we were younger, and the way he used to say it was pretty hilarious. But he would always say, "Money come, money go," you know, and I mean that kind of conflicts what I said about living within your means. But if you can sort of be generous within that,
I think it's the principle too.
That's the principle
of that,
you know,
because if you're right, because bro, shout out to your dad. Money come, money goes, and it's like true. The principle of actually understanding money, it can come and go that fast, depending on how well you manage it. You know.
Yeah, but it also comes back to if you've got money and you've got stuff that you've paid for, pay for it. You know, don't let it linger and then you
don't be stingy.
Yeah, don't be stingy, bro. You know, these are people that have provided you services or provided you products. Like, just pay them. Like Afterpay, you know, you're getting it now, but you're forgetting about it. And you're like, I'll just pay for it later. I'll do it over 6. I'll do it over 6 weeks. I'll do it over 4 weeks. You know, and it's not bad if you can, you know,
if you can afford it. Yeah,
if you can afford it, it's completely fine. But don't go on the basis that it's only $24. Like, mate, it's $300. Just you're paying it over 6 weeks, bro. And then they're like, oh no, I can spend $100. I can spend $100
and then the
today.
fees.
Yeah, it's like, mate, you're spending $1,000 over 6 weeks. That's another one, and I mean that'll probably get regulated relatively soon, so it might be gone. But things to be aware of.
100, of course, bro. Something that most people value that you don't.
Value. What do you mean?
Like I guess something that you personally value within your own life that you see that. Oh, I guess something that others value that you yourself don't.
What's an example? Give me your example.
Like, for example, for me, I used to like value what other people think of me.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then now, like, I don't really value that anymore. Now I just focus on what I believe in myself and what I can do.
Gotcha. I don't value what other people's perception of success is, and that's a pretty vague comment. But to me, what that means is that everyone's success looks completely different. Like I mean, this is speaking in broad terms, but for the majority of people, success equals heaps of money. For other people, success equals time with family, you know, having that freedom and those options. For me, like, success is just, it's, you know, when you get there, you know, but it's not about getting there. It's about making sure every step of the way you're enjoying it.
So true, bro.
Because the end goal might be your vision of success, but if you're having a shit time during the entire process, what's the point?
What's the point, bro?
You know?
Yeah.
If you're if you're like foregoing time with your family, time with your friends, you know, it's all part of this hustle mentality, which is great. But if you're foregoing all of those things in between, the end product is, it's not really gonna. It'll be worth it in a sense that you've foregone all these things, but
but then the value of what you lost as well along the way.
But you never. That's never guaranteed. You know, so if that's never guaranteed, why put yourself in this position where you've got to sacrifice all these things in between? You know, you've got to live your life because the end isn't guaranteed.
So true.
So in between, you may as well enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be pretty grim, you know?
A pretty bad one, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. Our last question for you, brother. What does authentic mean to you?
I think authentic means, to me, being raw. Again, a very vague comment. But like, if you're raw in everything that you do, your emotion, your talent, what you put your time and effort into, if all of that is raw and you do it with passion, I think that's authenticity. And your one as well, like not valuing what people think about you. And it might be different for a lot of people, but if you really do care what other people think about you, you're never really going to be authentic, because you've always got this facade of what you want people to perceive of you, right? Which is a big one.
So big, bro. 100%. It's just like, and I honestly feel like, we talked about it on podcasts before, but like, I feel like a big factor is like the social media that, like, it's such a huge factor, you know, especially with the next generation. Like, everything is, you know, judged, or everything is perceived real on social media.
Yeah.
And that's the thing to do.
Yeah. And it's all based around like status, you know? Like, when you die, you're not taking your status with you, bro. You know?
You're not taking your followers or your likes, bro.
You're not taking anything with you, mate. So, yeah, it's a hard one to get over, though. Like, if you've, particularly here, you know?
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
100% here, yeah.
If you're always governed by what people think about you, or what you want people to think of you, then you're always going to be a step behind where you should be. Because you're basically restricting yourself from everything, you know? You're restricting yourself from opportunity. You're also restricting yourself from failure, which is the biggest one.
It's the biggest, yeah.
And, you know, in the end, it'll all kind of be worth nothing.
Yeah. I feel 100%, bro. I feel like, yeah, that's something that we need to, I guess, focus a bit more in our lives, I guess. Yeah. Just focusing really on that, just being able to really, I guess, forget status and just focus really, like what you talked about before, like just being raw, bro. And if you're raw and true to yourself, I just feel like it'll outweigh everything else.
Yeah.
You know? And then people forget that. It's like, you know, the only person you can lie to yourself, but the only person that can change things is yourself. Yeah. You know? And
it's like, you know, back in the day when we used to run like hinemulas for training or something, and your coach always used to say, if you cut the corners, you're only cheating yourself. You know? And that's true. And that carries on through to everything you do these days, you know, like it comes back to integrity as well. Like the stuff you do behind closed doors when no one's watching, that's what really builds character.
Bro, character is, I feel like it's something that is so valued but has been so lost, you know? And I think a lot of us struggle to build our own character, you know? That's so true. Those honeymooners with corners, just be tired. Cut the corner.
Yeah, you know. But it's as cheesy as it sounds, that's what builds character. When you stick to what you set out to do,
100.
Not cutting corners, doing the stuff you should be doing behind closed doors, and you know, all of that integrity builds character, but the resilience that you get from that, you do that long enough and consistent enough. That's personal growth and personal development that you could never get from watching any webinar. You know, like it's
progression, bro.
It is progression.
It's progression on yourself that you can't, like, it's something that will, I guess, help you progress, if not faster, but a bit more stronger, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like any muscle, right? You train it, you tear it, it grows back, it's stronger. It's like your brain, and it's like your body, it's like your soul, it's like your heart. You train it by being consistent, you grow it, you heal it, you know, giving yourself rest and giving your body the nutrition it needs, the self-care it needs, you know, knowing when to wind down, or when to like de-stress, or when to take a step back and be like, look, this is too much for me right now. I gotta chill. I gotta take some time out. All of those things, bro. Like that's what builds character, and that's what gets you to the next step.
100.
Even if it's just mentally, you know. Even if it's just a case of, man, I feel stressed. I feel under the pump. I feel anxious. Like everything's going bad.
Adjust to those needs, eh?
Everything's going bad. Bro, take a step back. Have some water, you know? Feed your body well. Take a walk in the park, chuck your headphones on, chuck some Tupac on.
Get some rest,
you know?
Yeah.
All of those things, man. It's like, it takes time to build that sort of resilience in your life, but it's about being consistent. One of the things that I do every day now is I start my day off with a cold shower. I get up early, I go to the gym, I have a cold shower. It's not to be like, oh, boys, I just had a cold shower, like, I'm the man, you know? It's because you do, for me, like, my mentality is that if you do something hard at the start of the day, the rest of your day should be all good, you know? That's the mentality. Like, if you do something tough, the hard stuff, first off, you should be sweet.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's something that guys everyone needs to write down right now. Take a cold shower in the morning, do something hard, bro, and then you'll be better off. But I think that's so true, bro. I was like, and it also does. I think that isn't there a study that actually shows that cold showers in the morning, it really does. It really does help the mind and help the body.
It's got heaps of health benefits. I couldn't tell you one of them.
Yeah. But I just know it's good for me.
I just know that, like, if you can achieve something that tough in the morning mentally, then you should be able to smash the day relatively easy. You know?
It's all about mindset, bro.
Yeah.
Mindset. Guys, we had a great podcast here today with Matt. Grateful for his gems and the advice that he shared with us today. We'd just like to thank you, brother, for being here in the podcast.
Cheers, brother.
Thanks for your advice. Thanks for the example you have in our community, and also, I guess, all the words that you've said that will actually help those that will be watching and listening in for the time to come. We're grateful for you and for your example, and as well, thanks for being here, bro.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.
What did you say? Sorry.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, sorry. I was like, hey. Sorry, guys. Just a little of little friendly little jokes here and there.
I can't see your mouth moving, so I was like, I'm lip reading. I'm lip reading without the lips. I'm eye reading.
Guys, I forgot that Matt's also a comedian too, so sounds good, bro. But that's us. Guys, we'll also make sure we'll put his socials in the media and down below, and we'll make sure guys tune into the podcast. Remember, again, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. So check it in on the daily. And that's us. Until then, we'll see you guys next time. Let's go.
Peace.